Ever wonder how billionaires seem to take huge risks and always come out on top? I wonder how billionaires seem to take huge risks, and always come out on top. It's not magic, and it's definitely not luck. For most of us, risk feels like a giant leap into the dark, something scary and unpredictable. But for the world's wealthiest individuals, it's a completely different game. They don't see risk as danger. They see it as an opportunity that needs to be managed. They never jump in blindly. Every move is calculated. Imagine going into a high-stakes situation, but you're surrounded by an army of lawyers, armed with mountains of data, and using leverage to your advantage. That's how they operate. Taking a risk without any protection is just gambling. But when you build systems, analyze every angle, and have safety nets in place, that's not gambling anymore. It's strategy. It's about controlling the variables so that even if you lose, the loss is small and manageable. That's the secret. Thanks for watching. How do you feel when you hear the word risk? For most of us, it brings up a sense of danger, uncertainty, maybe even a little bit of fear. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, wondering if you should jump. We're taught to avoid risk, to play it safe, to stick to the well-trodden path. But what if I told you that the wealthiest people on the planet, the billionaires we read about, have a completely different relationship with risk? What if their secret isn't avoiding risk, but mastering it? Let's unpack this. When you see a billionaire make a massive headline-grabbing move, like buying a huge company or investing in some futuristic, unproven technology, what do you think? It often looks like a reckless gamble, right? A roll of the dice with billions of dollars on the line. But that's a misconception. That's the illusion. Behind that seemingly massive leap of faith is a complex, meticulously crafted system of control. To a billionaire, risk isn't about jumping into the unknown. It's about turning the unknown into the known. They don't just see the potential reward. They obsessively analyze and mitigate every conceivable downside. Think of it like this. An amateur might try to walk a tightrope 50 feet in the air with no safety net. That's not bravery, that's just foolish. A professional tightrope walker, on the other hand, has spent years practicing, understands the physics of balance, checks the tension of the rope, and most importantly, has a safety net below. They've minimized the chance of falling and eliminated the catastrophic consequences if they do. That's exactly how billionaires approach risk. Their safety net is a massive web of protection. Before they make any move, they deploy armies of experts. We're talking about the best lawyers in the world who structure deals to protect their assets. We're talking about teams of analysts who crunch mountains of data to model every possible outcome. They don't guess, they calculate probabilities. They look at the market, the competition, the regulatory environment, the geopolitical landscape, everything. This is the fundamental difference. For the average person, risk is an emotional experience. It's a gut feeling. For a billionaire, risk is a mathematical equation. It's a business problem to be solved. They strip the emotion out of the decision. They're not betting on hope. They're investing based on a calculated strategic advantage. They identify a potential opportunity, and then their entire focus shifts to one thing. How do I control this situation? How do I stack the odds so overwhelmingly in my favor that success becomes the most likely outcome? Consider a real estate mogul looking at a massive rundown property. We might see a crumbling building and a huge financial drain. They see potential. But they don't just write a check and hope for the best. They conduct extensive due diligence. They get zoning approvals in advance. They secure financing with favorable terms. They pre-lease space to anchor tenants before they even break ground on renovations. By the time they officially buy the property, they've already eliminated most of the major risks. The deal is practically a success before it even begins. It looks risky from the outside, but from their perspective, it was a series of controlled, calculated steps. Another key tool in their arsenal is leverage. And I don't just mean financial leverage like borrowing money. They leverage information, relationships, and reputation. They get access to deals that others don't even know exist. Their network gives them insights that aren't public knowledge. When they invest, their very involvement can increase the value of the asset, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. This isn't luck. It's a strategic use of the resources they built over time. They don't play the game. They change the rules of the game to suit them. So, let's redefine risk. Risk without protection, without a system, without knowledge, that's just gambling. It's buying a lottery ticket and hoping your numbers come up. But risk with systems, with due diligence, with a safety net, with a clear-eyed understanding of the potential downside, that's strategy. That's how fortunes are built and empires are created. The billionaire mindset doesn't fear risk. It respects it. It sees risk not as a threat to be avoided, but as an opportunity to be managed. They understand that there's no reward without some level of risk. The entire game of wealth creation is about taking calculated risks. The difference is that their calculations are on a completely different level. They're not just playing checkers. They're playing multidimensional chess, thinking 10, 20 moves ahead. What can we learn from this? You don't need to be a billionaire to apply this thinking to your own life. Whether you're considering a career change, starting a small business, or making a personal investment, stop thinking about risk as a scary monster under the bed. Start thinking like a strategist. First, do your homework. Obsessively. Don't just look at the upside. Spend most of your time on the downside. What could go wrong? What are the top 3 things that could sink this entire project? And for each of those things, what's your plan? How can you protect yourself? This is what's called an asymmetric risk, where your potential upside is huge and your potential downside is small and controlled. This is the sweet spot. Second, build your own safety nets. This could mean having an emergency fund before you quit your job to start a business. It could mean starting your new venture as a side hustle first, to test the market before you go all in. It means having mentors and advisors who have been there before and can guide you. Don't walk the tightrope without a net. Third, remove the emotion. Make decisions based on data and logic, not on hope or fear. Create a checklist or a framework for your decisions. If the opportunity doesn't meet your predefined criteria, walk away, no matter how exciting it seems. The discipline to say no to bad risks is just as important as the courage to say yes to good ones. The world's wealthiest people haven't eliminated risk from their lives. They've just become masters at managing it. They turn wild gambles into calculated strategies. They replace fear with information and hope with systems. The next time you face a risky decision, don't ask, is this risky? Instead ask, how can I control this risk? How can I stack the odds in my favor? That mental shift is the first step toward thinking like a billionaire, and it's a powerful tool for building your own version of success. It's about understanding that the biggest risk of all is often the risk of doing nothing, of letting fear keep you in the same place forever. The goal isn't to avoid the game. It's to learn the rules and play it better than anyone else. Thanks so much for watching. If this video gave you a new perspective on risk and success, hit that like button and subscribe for more content on how to level up your thinking. Let me know in the comments what's the biggest calculated risk you've ever taken. See you in the next one.